Hi, friends. I'm in kind of a funny place, but be that as it may, I have a journal for you. And this one is February 14th, the second of the day. Let's see where it goes. Earlier today, I wrote one of the strangest journals yet. Well, maybe it's not that the journal was strange, but the experience I was having as I recorded it was. It was a new way of seeing for me. It was a bit strange and ethereal, with hardly any color at all to it. White light and some contrasts and transparencies, no dark or bright colors at all. So, what has changed? And why am I back here at the journal again? Do I know? Not at all. Just that the feeling, the inspiration is here. So let's go. What lies buried within? About 2 or 3 months ago, I looked within, seeking to discover what was my most intense desire of all. I'd been falling into detachment from so many things, more and more, and perhaps wondered what was left. What remained of any importance to me? Was there anything? What was life about? What did I want or want to do with this life? Now, it may have been partly too that the body is getting older. It will reach 60 late this year. Now, that didn't enter my thoughts before, but I do recall recently looking at it. One has surely passed the midway point in life at this stage. It's something to consider. So there I was looking intently within. What did I find? One thing, and one thing only, seemed of importance anymore. And I called that integration. Not just integration of my dark side, which I've been working on for some time already. No, this was new. It came so clearly to me that what was called for was a more total integration, that I would truly, quote unquote, find myself. Now, still, what does this mean? Blessedly, it came through for me so clearly that there was no mistaking the meaning of it. Now, do recall that all questions, every one of them, with the merest seeking involved, are based on the I. It must be defined, or one's answers will totally change with a shift in self-definition. So then, what was my I? How had I so far defined it? Now, I won't be fool enough to say I've any sort of worthy definition of what I am, for that requires an ultimate sort of answer which doesn't compress at all well into language or 3D that I know of. So it wasn't that. What I had instead was a very reasonable definition that even mine can understand, believe it or not. I arrived at it thus, or rather, I'll share my train of pondering that led to this end. Knowing I am having many, many lifetimes or embodiments, right now, in simultaneous time, I wondered, did each one of these have its own soul? And if not, then how could one soul be parceled and shared out among so many and across such diversity? How would this work? I just ponder on such things until I've taken it as far as heart and I can go, together, and then I drop it in heart and leave it there, knowing it will surface again, and at the right time, I can comfortably forget it and go on. So that's what I do. So previously, I had pondered this question, the many lifetimes, how many souls one, and one more that was also important. This other question has to do with the dimensions and even the universes. I have some small experience with encountering my very own self on other levels, higher ones. I am aware that one or those ones, they have their own lives, their own concerns. They don't just hover around the 3D body as if it's the center of their world. It is not. They have their own lives, though they're not totally disconnected or unaware of this one in 3D. So then, I had the dimensions to consider as well as all those many lifetimes. What to make of that? It was quite a lot, for even just taking one lifetime spreads you out into many other dimensional lives connected with it. I don't know how all of this works. I haven't gotten understanding of it, just experiences, so it's still very strange to me. When I added to these two questions of lifetimes and of dimensions, the who thing about time space and my understanding of that, it got a bit more complex. Just as right now we can take the body and travel with it in space, in other areas we can drive around quite similarly, only in time, not in space. Maybe it's like having 3 dimensions of time and 1 of space. I don't really know. I just know this can be done. And furthermore, and I rather like this one, just as I see all time as simultaneous and equaling only now, I see space much the same. I see all space as also simultaneous and equaling only here. This is how you can find all of cosmos in a grain of sand or an atom or in heart. It's all fractal, I suppose. I just know it's all one and all now, here. I see time and space as inextricably joined, just as the X and Y on an algebraic grid. 2 aspects of the same thing that make no sense separated out. Anyway, I don't mean to confuse, but I don't want to bore either by going into too much detail with this. We've all got our own ways of seeing things, and these are mine. On that day several months ago, when I was looking within to see if there was anything left of importance that had to do with 3D, all of these things had already been ponderings in heart for some time. I guess they were ready. Soup was on and it was time to eat. What was on the menu? What was the result of this mix of things? Only one thing. It was that with all that's in me, with all of my heart, my desire was to be no more parceled out and separate in any way from the fullness of who and what I am. Whatever that was. I wanted it all coming together, and doing that yesterday. I want to be whole, or nearly as whole as I can conceive, or nearly whole. Thus, I determined that I wanted my awareness to spread out and expand to encompass every lifetime I'd ever lived or would live, and to include every dimension I had a presence on in any one of them, or separate. I mean it when I say I wanted the whole ball of wax, and not just to have it, for do consider, I have that right now. That's what I am, or at least we could say that a large part of it, of my experience. Anyway, parenthetically, I'm laughing, saying putting these things in words is at least a half crazy thing to attempt. Okay. No, not just to have all of this, for of course I already do. What I wanted instead was both to have all of this plus conscious awareness of same. Hello, try that one on. I don't care that it sounds crazy to mind. Mind isn't in charge here, nor does it have to feel it will be guiding this ship. Heart is in command of it. My thought and feeling is that people have held higher dimensional awareness while still maintaining a body and presence here in 3D. I wanted that. I don't know how it would or will happen, but that is my clear and intense intent. Conscious awareness of it all. What do you think? Am I nuts? Could be. Let's see. I am aware that often enough we are in higher dimensional awareness while we're still functioning here. These journals aren't 3D things. Well, they don't have 3D origins anyway. I'm sure most or all of us have had experiences of higher dimensions, though we most likely didn't label it that way. That comes to us later, or it did to me. So this is not to say that I believe the fullness of who and what we are can even be contained in that way. Great and grandiose though that may sound. Why not? Well, because all of this is time-space bound stuff. It has to do with incarnations and such on whatever plane. Just like you're not the body or the mind you have now, you're not the sum total of all the bodies and minds you've ever had either. Oh no, it's not so easy to sum up identity as that. This is the sum of all your manifestations in time-space. No more and no less. Even this, grand though it may sound, and, oh my goodness, grand to experience, without a doubt, would still not begin to encompass the fullness of your being or mine. You're divine. That can't be summed up neatly in any way. There might be a definition for source or God or divinity in a dictionary somewhere, but please, that's just defining the word, not the reality to which it points. Words are just labels for the unnameable, really. We do the best we can with them, but let us not trust that by mere use of the words we convey anything at all of real truth. We don't. All we can hope to do with words is to lie well, to lie the best that we can. That's all words are good for in the end. This symbolizes the move from the head to the heart, actually. Words are mind things, and they're quite useful overall. We've just set them too great a task to actually and truthfully contain or describe the things they represent. We seem to have quite forgotten that they just represent things. They are not the things in themselves. You can't eat the menu. If they were, we could gain weight by eating the menu instead of the meal. We can't eat the word meal either. Do you see what I mean? They just represent or point to or stand in for things. Who was it said the map isn't the territory? They don't either fully contain or describe the things themselves. They're just out there on the surface of them. Okay, that was quite a lot of words there, all to just lay out the possible understanding of my new experience described in the last journal, the one where I was looking back on an earlier self in comparison to the current one and how different that was. I feel it's something that's been brought to bear from this process of ongoing integration, set off perhaps by my earlier intent. It's funny too, for it may not be at all. That doesn't matter though. It's rather enjoyable to have put down my concept around integration of much more of the fullness of our being. At the very least, it must contain all lifetimes and all dimensions and all of time-space where we have presence of any kind. I find that a delightfully mind-bending contemplation. This wholeness of self I've thus far defined, and this covers only the created self, that which manifests as part of the cosmos or the creation. I find within self that emptiness is a much closer definition for my being. Have you gone within and discovered that yet? It seems to me that all the detachment that's going around like something contagious is related to that. As frequencies in the solar system are rising, and as magnetic fields of the sun and planets are falling, we're much more exposed to whatever energy is present. Furthermore, to me, this is very good, frankly, delightful. I don't see the sun as any sort of enemy or instrument of harm. To me, it's divine. Santos Bonacci does a good job of presenting the sun's divinity. So, just closing by saying that I feel the whole letting go and detachment thing, along with our rising in consciousness and the rest of it, is all of a piece with the cosmic and solar radiation to which we're being exposed. I view it as a tremendous blessing and likely the very thing that is even now reinserting health and sanity back into our DNA structure. Who knows, perhaps returning us back to 12 strands. And well, why not? Stranger things have happened, no doubt. And it takes more than these 2 strands to contain the whole of us, any kind of integration. One way or another, my choice is to be both joyful and grateful for everything, and to see all life as bringing blessings. I think if we take time in its wholeness, not just in the little piece we can see and feel right now, we will see how there is not one single thing that happens that doesn't go to bring benefit, and in multiple ways. Sure, we have to agree those benefits are presented at times, and not everyone does. All right, what have I said here? Sure, we have to agree. We have to agree to those benefits that are presented at times, and not everyone does. Often enough, someone offers a hand to help someone out and has it refused. Well, that too is that person's right, and I respect that. Just as I expect them to respect my equal right to lead my own life. A big dose of love and respect for one another, for the family of man that we are, will go a long way to raising everyone's consciousness a few notches. What say we be the start of that? No matter what, whatever your vision is, let's all live to be the change we desire in life. Let's choose a full return to lives lived in full integrity and honor. That can easily become the most popular thing. All we have to do is decide and stick to that. What say you?